of the Whole for Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. Has appropriate meeting notification been made?
Yes, Your Honor, it has.
If you'd call roll, please.
Alderman Mulder?
Here.
Alderman Shellpepper?
Here.
Alderman Maroney?
Here.
Alderman Douglas? Alderman Rozak?
Here.
Alderman Altman Cloth? Alderman Ellis?
Here.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Here.
Great, welcome everybody and welcome those in the audience. We're going to move on to our committee business, the capital budget overview. Ms. Sullivan Murray. Sorry, my tongue
Just
got
mix
stuck.
the two together, that's okay.
Sorry about that, I apologize.
That's fine. So tonight we get started on the capital plan budget for the city and the utilities. We put together this really to show what the capital investment needs are needed for next year and a look at what the next 5 years might look like. So the departments have prepared their 25 capital requests for the council. They have projected their needs for 26 through 29 and submitted memos outlining their 2025 requests. So capital budget workbooks in front of you, you have a folder that has a worksheet for the city proposed capital, a worksheet for the utility proposed capital. The worksheets this year include fleet, and part of the reason why is last year we had approved 24 and 25 fleet. So when you look at your worksheets, I have highlighted in green those items that were approved last year, and some of these have already been ordered as well, so you know. And then the memos from each of the departments are in here. And I put a copy of this PowerPoint in there for you too, because the directions are here for downloading the spreadsheet, the workbook to take a look at. So the spreadsheet can be found on the city website in finance under budgets and financials, 2025 capital. So there's a worksheet for city, there's a worksheet for the utility, and similar to your first page here, this first page is actually the first page of the worksheet. There is a tab number for each item. It shows the department requesting the type of request that it is and the year and the funding source in your spreadsheet. So what I want to show you is how to find it. When you're on the city website, you go to departments and finance and then budget and financial information. Under that is the capital plan. You'll find the city plan and the utility plan. So you just click on it and it will download. Usually it goes, your downloads go right by this little arrow right here. So if you click it, you can open those up and then save them to your computer. When you're looking at the sheet, like I just explained, that first sheet has a tab number that is a link. So when you click the link, it will take you to the detail page for each item in the spreadsheet. Then that will show you what year, how much, how the funding is, the scope of it, the reason behind it, you know, why we're looking at that, why we need it. All of that is there. And when you're done looking at that page, right up in the top corner, I added this back button. So you click the button, takes you right back to where you were on the front page. And the mayor's doing thumbs up because he tried it out today and it works good, so. So besides just showing it, it's in your instructions in here, but I wanted to show you just on the website really quick too. Departments. Oops, not city clerk.
There she is.
It switches too fast. Finance, budget and financial, and then you'll find them here. Click on these. You see how that went up to this arrow? Click on the arrow and you can open it. I opened the smaller one so that we can take a look at it because the city one's pretty big. And so when you click on any one of these items that you want to take a look at, you just click on the item. You just click on the item. I know you do. Come on.
And then you gotta hit enable.
Enable editing.
There we go. If you click on the item, it'll take you to the detail page and then back. That one didn't have a picture, so I picked a bad one. So there we go. Shows you what truck we're replacing. It gives you the need, impact of replacing that truck, the history of its, maintenance. And then it tells, this is in the expenditure budget, it's going to be from the wastewater fund. So you'll be able to see that, go back, hit the back button. It just takes you back to the worksheet for all of the utilities here. You click on any item. So what you do is you use the page that I gave you in your workbook. This is your notes. This is where you highlight things that you want to talk about, you make notes, you have questions, whatever it is, to help you get ready for Tuesday, when the department heads will be here to answer your questions and go through all of the items for 2025. So, as we normally do, we're gonna, for this workshop, we're gonna focus mainly on 2025 to get through during our capital budget workshops. The first one is next week, Tuesday. It'll be at 6 o'clock in this room. This year, we're gonna start with the utilities. We have people that are gonna be on vacation, so we wanna make sure we get the utilities done, and then we'll move on to the city funds. If we need to, we will be back on Thursday. Depending on how much we still have to go through, it will be up to you if we come back on Thursday. If all we need is a couple little things, we can move it to the next committee of the whole meeting during your regular meetings. If not, we'll be back here on Thursday. After we go through all of the departments, we'll talk more about the financing plans and kind of finalize that budget. The goal of the workshops is to approve the capital funding 2025 for the city funds, 2025 for the utility funds, and then just sort of have a consensus on the 26 through 29 plans and concept. Those will change as we move closer to those years. And that's it. So if you have any questions at all about using your workbook, please call me. I can help you. Any problems with it at all, call me, let me know. We'll walk through it. Once you get in there, it'll be easy for you. Let me know if you have any problems.
Paper's easy, too.
You know, the books are big. If you absolutely have to have a book, I'll make you a book. But it takes a lot of time in the office to make those. And honestly, we look at those pages once or twice, and then it's garbage. So I'm hoping that you will at least try to do this way. And if you don't like it or you want paper, reach out to me and I'll get it for you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. It'll just take about a minute, and we will, or a couple minutes, we'll start the Common Council meeting right at 7:30. If you have a comment to make during the council meeting, there are blue cards right here at the front. One of our staff will help you. July 16th, 2024. Has appropriate meeting notification been made?
Yes, Your Honor, it has.
Please stand if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. Would you please call roll?
Alderman Mulder.
Here.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Here.
Alderman Maroney.
Here.
Alderman Douglas. Alderman Rozak.
Here.
Alderman Altman Cloth. Here. Alderman Ellis.
Here.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Here.
I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of minutes for June 18th, 2024.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And on to comments and suggestions from citizens. I'd like Alderman Spiegelberg to introduce our first presentation from the Waukesha County Fairest of the Fair.
Very pleased to have some representatives from the Waukesha County Fairest of the Fair program, and they need no introduction because they're all very capable young women of introducing themselves and talking tonight, so welcome.
Welcome, if you'd like to come to the podium. And there's a special reason why we're here today, so if you would help us with that.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Talia Steinhauer, and I'm actually Alderman Spiegelberg's youngest daughter, and I had the privilege of representing Oconomowoc as the 2016 Fairest of the Fair for Waukesha County. And tonight I will introduce you to the 2025 Fairest of the Fair. But before I do that, just a little bit of background on the role itself. As Fairest of the Fair, you really are just the face of the fair. So that includes representing the fair at different community events during the year, parades, doing some radio interviews and other things, and then spending all 5 days of the fair, which starts this week, being there from the beginning to the end. And I know as Fairest, some of my favorite things to do were represent all of the 4-H'ers and get to hand out awards to the kids who were showing animals during the week. I loved introducing the band headliners. I got to introduce Foreigner my year, which was really exciting. I got to participate in some eating contests and get to talk to all the kids and the fairgoers. And so it's just a great opportunity to get to see the fair from a whole different perspective and get to know all the volunteers and the sponsors that make the fair really as successful as it is. And then after the fair in January, you get to represent the county at the state level. And so there are fairs from all over the state that go to the Dells, and it's a couple days of interviews and some on-stage portions and just getting a chance to get to know more about the fair industry as a whole in the state. And that's a great opportunity too, to just get to know more about all the different fairs around the state and get to represent your county as well. And so I know personally I took a lot of those skills that I learned and took them into my years in college. I took them into my career as a second grade teacher, and I know now I'll use them as a mom as well with my own children. So with that being said, I'd love to introduce you to the 2025 Waukesha County Fairest of the Fair, Sydney Miller.
Hi everyone, my name is Sydney Miller and I'm your 2025 Waukesha County Fairest of the Fair. Outside of Fairest, I'm a student at the University of Wisconsin-Madison where I'm studying agricultural business management. I graduated from Oconomowoc High School in 2023, and throughout my time in high school, you could either find me on the basketball court or in the agriculture room. I spent a lot of my time in FFA, and that being said, that really inspired my platform and why I wanted to run for Fairest in the first place. I learned a lot through FFA, and also being involved in 4-H throughout high school really taught me some key life skills, and that sort of inspired my platform for this year or for next year. I really want to encourage any kids and families to get involved in the fair and 4-H and FFA just as much as they can to carry these life skills that I've learned with their lives too. And that being said, I would really love to introduce you guys to our 2024 Waukesha County Fairest of the Fair, Jaden Rather.
Hi everyone, my name is name's Jaden. I am lucky enough to be the 2024 Waukesha County Fairest of the Fair, and the fair starts tomorrow, so that's super exciting. A little bit more about me personally. I am going to be a junior at UW-Madison as well, studying kinesiology, and I plan to go to physical therapy school afterwards. I graduated from McConaughey High School, so rivalry, but thank you for having me here tonight. And then, so my platform that I chose was to support local farmers and businesses within Waukesha County. And so I did that by attending local farmers markets and inviting them to the farmers market that we have at the fair. This is only the third year that we've had the farmers market, so I really wanted to grow it, and I got a partner who waived all the booth fees for all the vendors, so it was really just about getting people there to support their local businesses. So I'm really excited to have that two-day event Wednesday and Thursday of the fair this week. And then some other highlights of the fair. We have the royalty, which is a unique thing that we are now able to do since the Fairest program is a mentorship program. So that means that Sydney got crowned at the end of June, and I get to mentor her through this year's fair, and then she gets to have her fair next year. And then at the royalty, we have 20 young girls who get to get crowned, sash, announce on stage, and then they get to go on a hay bale ride throughout the fairgrounds. We also have Rodney Atkins headlining our Miller Lite main stage on Thursday. We have Daughtry on Friday and Brett Michaels Party Grass on Saturday. We have a bunch of amazing side stage acts. We have a new Thrill Extravaganza show coming all the way from Las Vegas. We have our Pleasure Valley Pig, Goat, and Duck races. Some new things that will be happening. We have draft horses coming on Thursday of the fair. We also have meet and greet with NFL and Badger players happening daily. And we have the Milwaukee Brewers famous racing sausages joining us, which will be super exciting. And don't miss out on the truck and tractor pulls, demolition derby, all the fair fun and food. Thank you guys so much for having me, and hope to see you at the fair this week.
Congratulations to all three of you. Alderman Spiegelberg, any closing comments?
No, you know, I always have my shameless plug for the oldest and best county fair in the state of Wisconsin, so come on out to Waukesha County Fair starting tomorrow. Thanks for coming, girls.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking it would be nice if they came back to their communities, primarily Oconomowoc, and ran for alderman, ran for mayor, and keep coming to be engaged here in our community. So that's my hope for you. Thank you very much. I have one card tonight. If there are more, please bring them forward. When you come to the podium and the microphone, please state your name and your address. And you have 3 minutes to share your viewpoints or anything that you want with the Common Council today. It's not a two-way dialogue. It's your opportunity to share your viewpoints. So first up is Samantha Troyer. You can use the microphone that's right there.
Chief. Chief, it's not working.
We can hear you.
Just bend the microphone.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can use the hand microphone. Do they have
That's
one?
how it doesn't work anymore, it rolls off. Hi, so I'm here to comment about Rockwell Park and having accessible bathrooms there. For a number of years, I think I've been disabled now for going on 18 years. And my disability was caused by a car accident by a driver who ran a red light. So I did not anticipate having a disability at all in my life, especially at the age of 19. We can't ever know what's going to happen to us on each day. 1 in 4 people will be permanently or temporarily disabled who are over the age of 20 before retirement age. And I think that for this reason, it's very important to have accessibility in our community so that we can enjoy it all equally. And bathrooms are generally the main issue when it comes to disability. I have to like plan out a lot of my days of like if I'm gonna go somewhere, what the bathroom is gonna be like, or if there's gonna be a bathroom I can get in. And I really hope that, you know, we can have that at Rockwell Park, especially, you know, the #1 temporary disability in the United States is pregnancy. And there are a lot of pregnant women who are gonna be using the park, especially women with children, and having a bathroom that they could bring the children with them is very important. Because, you know, it can be hard to get off of the toilet when you have like a human body grown inside of you. So that alone is very important, especially at a park. And I understand that there's gonna potentially be a drop-off, which would be equally important because a lot of people with disabilities can't transport themselves. And it would be very nice to have an opportunity to just be dropped off and left on their own to enjoy outdoor spaces with, you know, the rest of the community. So I think that we can do better here. We are always doing better here. And I really am so proud of this community for how well they're doing to make it more accessible. And especially with the Wizard of Oz, you know, whole events going on here. A lot of people in the disability community love the Wizard of Oz. And we want to draw those people here and let them see how welcoming we are in all fronts. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I made that very important point of bathrooms and drop-offs at Rockwell Park. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other comments or any other blue cards out there? What, can you, Chief, can you get the card? Right over here.
Wow.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see your smiling faces around those tables, believe me, and we all know how hard you
If you could
work.
please identify
Oh,
yourself.
sorry, my name is Jenny Hicks, and
you live-
I'm, pardon?
And your street address, please?
It's Senior Center, 210 South Main Street.
Okay.
And there's some seniors here with me, and I'm sure there's some seniors amongst you, maybe. I guess I just want to say a couple of things. One is I'm here just to give the support of accessibility at Rockwell. And that support comes in all various areas. Yes, it's handicapped. Yes, it's lack of mobility. And yes, the 20% of people that are seniors in the city of Oconomowoc have mobility issues. We just do at the age of 65. You will too. Chances are there's a pretty good percentage of that. Though that it may not be full handicap, it's just mobility. It's the person that has the knee problem. It's the person that goes through, gets a hip replacement way under 65 at times. And they need to be able to get around, to be dropped off, and to have a bathroom. So the challenges are there. We in the city of Oconomowoc, is a destination. It's no longer just a city to live in. It is becoming a destination. If we want to be inclusive in that destination, if we want to be able to welcome whoever into this community, we need to provide bathrooms. They need those people that are downtown walking home at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rather than in the lake, they could use a bathroom. So that's another area. There are parking issues. There's no real place to park down in that area for anybody that is walking. They can stop, they can enjoy the beauty, they can enjoy the lake, they can enjoy the grass, and they can use the restroom or be dropped off. So basically that's it. I just, you know, whether it comes in a van, whether it's a senior, whether it's a handicapped individual in a wheelchair, whether it's a person with a cane, a walker, or surgery, or a parent who has 3 kids, one of whom needs to go to the bathroom. They can't leave one hanging out there. They have to take all 3 into the bathroom if they're under 5. So just, I encourage you to think about everybody and be inclusive. That's the bottom line.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Do we have any more blue cards? Anyone else want to make a comment? Seeing no blue cards, we'll move on to our consent agenda items. I'd like to find out if there's anyone that wants to pull out any of the consent agenda items for further discussion or move forward to a motion. Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved, Altman Cloth.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on from our consent agenda items to committee reports. We'll start with finance. Consider act on approving the change order for engineering costs for Rockwell Park to Phase 2 design.
Thanks. So the Parks Department had a contract with SEH Engineering for design and bidding for Phase 2 of Rockwell Park. As you know, we went through many design changes and actually bid out the work a couple of times with the costs coming in high. Design changes were made again, and it was bid again. So this leads to a change order for the engineering. So per our policy, we bring back a change order approval if we have already spent the 10% contingency a contract allows. If it goes over that, we come back to council. So this is us asking for a change order for $3,000 to pay the remainder of the engineering costs for bidding out the project the second time. This is not a budget amendment. We do have the funding available for it as it is grant eligible.
I'd like to open it for discussions or questions. Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
And a second. Call roll, please.
Alderman Mulder?
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper?
Aye.
Alderman Maroney?
Aye.
Alderman Rozak?
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth?
Nay.
Alderman Ellis?
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg?
Aye.
On to our next item, consider act on the authorization of budget amendments for grant donations received, use of fund balance reserves, and crew wages budget allocation for second quarter, April 1st through June 30th, 2024.
This is our quarterly budget amendments that we do for donations and grants. During the second quarter, the city did receive $457,000 worth of donations, with the majority of that coming for the pickleball court expansion. That amount was $258,000. Other donations for the transient pier, for the Oz Plaza, for Toto, for trees, and fireworks. Grants in there as well for the watershed program and for the police department. So that's the first budget amendment. The second budget amendment is to authorize the use of fund balance or prior donations that were collected prior, spent in the second quarter. So that's a budget amendment for us. And then the third amendment is the one that we are making all year quarterly that trues up our crew wages. So we budget our crew wages all in one spot, and then after the end of the quarter, we take where they really worked and take it from crew wages and apply it to the actual division that they worked in. And that is all three for this quarter.
Reminder to council, there's a budget amendment which requires a supermajority. Any questions or comments for Ms. Sullivan Murray? I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved, Rozak.
Second?
Any further discussions? Call roll, please.
Alderman Mulder?
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper?
Aye.
Alderman Maroney?
Aye.
Alderman Douglas?
Aye.
Alderman Rozak?
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth?
Aye.
Alderman Ellis?
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg?
Aye.
On to consider act resolution 24-R3210, authorizing a budget amendment for the utility pilot payment shortfall.
Yep.
Ms. Sullivan Murray.
Thank you. So the city-owned electric and water utilities do pay a payment in lieu of taxes to the city every year. For tax purposes, the electric utility and water utility together are a total value of $116 million. So the budget for the pilot payment this year was $1,520,000. So during and after the budget was put together and the taxes go out, the mill rate actually dropped by about $2.50 last year. The main cause of the mill rate change was actually the school district dropping their mill rate. What happens is it lowers the taxes for everybody, including the utilities. So the utilities are actually paying less for taxes than what they had budgeted for and less than what the city had budgeted for. So basically, we're looking at a $344,000 shortfall in the general fund because the pilot payment is lower this year due to the lower mill rate. So since they're city-owned utilities, what we are proposing to do is to do a budget amendment, not to charge them more taxes, but to take that difference in the budgeted amount and the actual amount and do a transfer to the general fund to true up the general fund. Now, if this was $34,000 instead of $344,000, we wouldn't be asking for this. This isn't something, it is something that legally we can do. We own the utilities, we can do a transfer to the general fund. It's not something that we want to make a habit of, but because both sides budgeted it, it's really, it really just evens out. So anyway, before you is the budget amendment, basically to true up those pilot revenues to the city.
And for the audience on these financial issues, the council has been in committees going through these in depth and in detail. So we're not just making quick judgments. They've really investigated this. I'd like to open it up for discussion or comments. Alderman Ellis.
The 344,000, where are we getting that from?
So what we're going to do is we're going to take a transfer from the water utility and a transfer from the electric utility to the general fund to make up the shortfall.
Is that a 50/50 or?
It's not, it's in here, the electric utility is 215,000, the water utility is 129,000.
Okay, and why is it like that? Why is it not just 50/50?
Because the pilot is based on the value of each utility
Okay.
times the mill rate.
Okay, that makes sense.
Any other questions or comments? Like to entertain a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
On to our next item, which is Public Services. Consider act on Resolution 24-R3209 awarding Rockwell Park Phase 2 construction contract and budget amendment. Mr. Fry.
Thank you, Mayor. So I wanted to open the discussion regarding the park, showing rendering of what we envision the plaza area will look like. There's been a lot of discussion on different ideas as far as the restrooms in the hill, outside the hill. A lot of the changes we had to make recently were cost-driven, but I think the changes we were able to make keeps the quality of
Can you
the park.
speak into the microphone a little more, please? Thank you.
It's on the wrong side. It's usually.
It's on the wrong side?
Yeah. Yeah, so the changes that we had to make were to reduce costs, but I think we were able to maintain the quality and what the final expectations are for the park. So the park actually, this started almost 4 years ago. August of 2020, they settled an agreement with a developer that allowed eventually for the lands up in this area to become part of the city. We had one family donate one of the parcels to us very generously, and then we had a lot of citizens and the public come together and donate $1.35 million to purchase the other. July of 21, the council approved the concept plan. November of 22, we did the contract for the first phase, which got finished in 2023. We had to pause in 24 for a little bit. We had submitted for a grant. We had to wait until we got word on that. And then once we had word on that, we were bidding out the project. As noted before on the change order, we had to bid this project 3 times, with the cost, but I think this last time we've come in with extremely good numbers, which were open on June 27th. Just give you an idea of what some of the thoughts of the design with the renderings. So this is what's referred to as a shade garden in this area here. The one structure that is on that parcel was the old boathouse that was there for many, many years. We've modified it so that it's a canoe and kayak launch. This is the the accessible walkway, so there's a couple different ways, and when we get to the other pictures I'll show, but there's a couple different ways to get up to the front porch area, one of them steps. This route goes a long ways, it comes all the way around by the lake and then comes all the way back up. That's to meet all the standards for ADA, for the slopes and the percentages of what you can climb, so that'll be nice that way. And then this is when you're at the top of the hill, looking back, here's Fowler Lake. This is what we're referring to as the front porch structure. We show it with some Victorian brackets, but we have a lot of decisions that we can be making on this yet. This is the aerial view of the plaza, and as I mentioned, we do have steps that can either get you up to this, or there's this walkway that comes all the way around, comes back up around this way, and comes up into the structure. One of the things I did not mention when I was talking about the restrooms before in the committee, and I just want to make sure everybody's aware, is that the model that we're looking at is not an all year round insulated restroom. So we are investigating. There's been some communities that have been able to add some heaters in there and extend the amount of time that they can be open. We're going to see if that's anything that's viable, but right now we would have to close these in winter. But we also figured that the park's probably not going to be getting a lot of usage in the winter, especially with small kids. So we didn't think that that would be a problem. So we are showing the clock, which is sitting right up here. That's this clock here. We actually looked in and found an interesting drinking fountain. This one will be one that can fill bottles. You can drink from it, and then it's got a little dish at the bottom for doggies. So for the people that walk around the lake.
You drink from the dog dish though too, couldn't it?
You can. There is nothing that stops that.
Can I take a picture?
And if we can get a picture, of that, we'd appreciate that. But getting into the projects itself, as I mentioned, we just rebid the project. 2 bids were received. Highway Landscapers came in at the low bid of $669,000. So in addition to that cost, we're looking at some allowances because somewhat different in this, we didn't have everything completely detailed out. So we want to make sure that we have funds for the purchase of the restrooms, for the purchase of the John and Lavinia front porch structure, concrete staining. That was, when you look at this wall area here, this is going to be block, and then this is a form liner that makes up the exterior of the restroom structure. It's all going to be gray concrete. So then we're going to want to get that stained, so then it'll give it a look of real stone. It'll come out, it'll look really nice. We're also looking at that donor recognition. That's this wall here. We haven't quite figured out everything, how we're going to honor all the donors, how many plaques we're going to need in that, and then electrical upgrades. So there's a couple things where we're looking at where we have the lighted bollards. Do we do something that potentially has an outlet for them so that we have let people charge a phone or do whatever they need to while they're in the park. Total cost of the project, when you add everything in with the contingency, comes in at just over $1,114,000. Currently, we have $1,130,000 available, so we're $15,000 to the good. The memo that went out in the packet did indicate that we were going to have a potential $185,000 gap that we'd have to cover for a potentially short time, but the final donation that I'd noted that was committed has come through, so we are now fully funded without using any of our reserves. So our recommendation is to hire highway landscapers at the $669,000. We're requesting a 15% contingency of $100,000. So net cost to them is $769,000. Then we have the $275,000 in the allowances that I've just walked through. So our construction costs without the construction management, which we'll bring back later, is just over $1 million. And here's the aerial of the entire park. The building in the background is the one that's been under construction for a while, so it'll be great when it gets to look like that. And then, for everybody, yes, this is the turnaround that, people have been talking about that was included in the bid. And then, like I said, here's the restroom structure, and it's ADA accessible up through this structure and back around. So this is really going to be a nice park when it's done. Any questions?
So I'd like to open up for questions or comments. Alderman Spiegelberg.
This is a banner day for the city of Oconomowoc and the citizens. A culmination of a 4-year process that started during a pandemic, and thanks to several major donors and 1,200 other donors. We're at this point now, and I know we've had some bumps and bruises along the way with what we wanted, what we didn't want, what we think we should have, what we didn't think we should have. But this is a legacy park now to be enjoyed by everybody, every age group, every level of ability or disability, and I'm proud to be on the council at this time to bring this to a final culmination.
Alderman Maroney.
I hate the same sentiment that Karen made. This is a great project. We've been through a long road getting here, but I think this is going to be a great opportunity for the city, and we've got a lot of development going on, and it's just nice to see that we're following through with this, and then we have the donations that were generously given, so I'm pretty proud of this as well.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
There's no denying it's a beautiful park. I mean, that is for sure. Couple just thoughts though, and I know I'm kind of sounding like a broken record on this, but again, I don't support the turnaround. You know, today in public comment, there was a lot of talk about accessibility and safety and, accessibility for those that need it. And this is such a high traffic area in our city. And now while we can't control what private, homeowners do, like the condo just, next door, we as the city have the ability to keep our people safe. I am a very avid walker. I walk and run Fowler all the time. We have so much traffic around this area. So why we as the city would potentially create something that could make somebody need an accessible park, I just can't support. Secondly, the bathrooms. I mean, how many bathrooms does one city need? I mean, later we're going to talk about bathrooms at Village Green. Village Green is not very far from here. I know there was some talk about pregnancies and babies and whatnot. I've been pregnant 4 times in the city of Oconomowoc, have had 4 babies, and have made do with the bathrooms that we do have just fine. This is, again, a beautiful park, and I understand that it's fully funded to create it, but who's going to fund it to maintain it? That's going to be our tax dollars. And again, I read the letter from one of the Harrows at the last time we discussed this, and they were very clear, this was not the vision. And, considering they are the ones that kind of got it going in donating the land, I don't know if I can support us doing something that was not their original vision when they donated.
So, and I'd be happy to respond. So regarding the turnaround, back in June of 2023, this was a council item. This is when Craig Hepner was still Parks Director. He had brought 2 options for discussion, one being the turnaround, one being the bump in, like what's in front of the community center. That night, Chief Bowen and Chief Pfister and Jason Herzog, Director of Public Works, all spoke in favor of that option as being the safer option up there. The council voted 5-3 to move ahead with.
I believe they said either one was okay.
Well,
I mean, I'll go back and watch it, but that's how I remember it.
But I was looking at, I spoke with Chief Bowen today and Chief Pfister, and that's, what their comment was to me. But that's why the turnaround was put in there and it was left as part of the design. How many bathrooms? When I do hear the question, because, we've gone for a long time with nothing and now, but we didn't have anything here before. So now we've got something here. So whenever somebody says, well, if we have a bathroom at Village Green, do we need one here? And so then I always turn around that question and say, well, if we have one here, do we need one at the Village Green? And those people walk up here to go,
Well, Village Green, I think, is a lot more
No, I know it's not fair, but I do like to point that out.
And what would be the schedule that they would stay open? Because you said they wouldn't be heated. So are we just looking like May to October?
I think we, depending on,
April?
like I said, we can look at potentially adding some electric heaters, which would extend, but we're going to talk to communities first before we make that final decision, because it might they might say you get 2 weeks, and then it's not worth it. It's going to be what the weather drives. If we get cold early, and we have to shut it down.
Well, in
or-
that part of the isthmus, I mean,
Right.
that is the coldest part of the
Yeah.
city, by
That wind
far.
really comes howling through.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's wicked
So,
right
so
there.
that's what will drive that as to when it's open and closed.
Alderman, are you done?
I'm finished.
Okay, Alderman Ellis?
First off, I want to publicly thank all those individuals who donated. You didn't have to do that, but you did it unselfishly because you love the city of Oconomowoc, and I truly thank you for it. I do have a couple of questions. First, Chief, if we can go ahead and how do you feel about the turnaround as compared to the bump out?
Is the bump out dangerous?
Well, I didn't say that. I want to know his point.
Just adding.
I prefer the actual turnaround. I think that's a safer option. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, you know, the traffic on that road is a consistent amount of traffic. If we have the bump out, I can already see what's gonna happen because it happens at other places. So there's gonna be cars parked in the bump out, somebody's gonna come up and they're gonna stop in the lane of traffic, looking to see, is this person pulling out, are they not pulling out? We're gonna have people that are gonna come by, they wanna see the park, that parking's full, they're gonna slow down, you know, they wanna show people that are visiting the park, you know, and so forth. I think this option gets the cars out of the street for people to get dropped off on. I think there's enough line of vision here for pedestrians, for walking, that you can see the pedestrians coming back and forth. I envision that people would come down and actually probably walk the half circle and then come back out, which is obviously way safer, you know, and so forth. So those are my reasons.
Okay, thank you. Also, about the maintenance piece, that's always that's been a concern of mine. I remember the beginning of all of this, and when the bathrooms were brought up, I said to myself, "Well, this is a park. I don't understand why we need those." And now when I looked at the drawings that you had shown us, that's a lot of maintenance. Can we actually handle that maintenance?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at it's another restroom, especially making it seasonal helps too, because we have seasonal staff during the summertime. that
You've
can
got the
help out with that.
perennials, you got the annuals, you got these, everything. I mean, it's not going to be looking 100% pristine unless somebody's there doing that. So that's my question.
Yep, no, it falls under our department, and we'll manage it.
There are also some groups that want to get involved in the foliage, like the special foliage, that want to get involved, but none of those have, until we know that we can move forward on it, none of that has been defined. Garden clubs, stuff like that. Alderman Rozak.
Well, I have a couple of comments. One, I echo what Alderman Spiegelberg and Alderman Ellis have said. Kudos to all the folks that have raised money, the Friends of Oconomowoc Parks. I'll also make a comment that I think the mayor's taken a lot of a lead on this park, and this is something he's been working on, I know, for the last 4 years-ish. And there have been some bumps in the road, but I think ultimately it's going to be an iconic part of our city for hopefully generations to come. I wasn't sold on the bathrooms. In fact, I was kind of opposed to the bathrooms for the longest time until we kayaked there with my kids this last weekend. And my wife we were going to keep going on because we were going to use the little portage and go down. But LaBelle was so busy with boats, we were like, eh. But then we kind of thought if we were going to use that portage more often, that having bathrooms there would be probably a really good idea. And that mostly came from my wife, and I agree. And I also appreciated some of the comments from the folks that did comment about using, you know, the accessibility of the restrooms and the bump out, this turnaround, I guess. Again, the turnaround was something I wasn't completely sold on. I've gotten used to it after not only comments from the chief, but some of the folks that talked about people getting dropped off and using that, I think is important. I still don't like having a parking spot there. I just don't, in a park, like having one spot with a car park there.
So that's an ADA spot?
Yeah.
And then the other
Do we
spots
need,
for people-
if we don't put a spot in, do we need an ADA spot? I mean, can't we just have it just the turnaround?
I don't know that we're required to have an ADA spot, but we showed that there because that's part of the purpose of this, that if
I
someone
understand. Well,
was by themselves and they can't, drive their car somewhere else and they want to get out and enjoy the park.
That's a fair
that
point.
they
Yeah,
would
that's
have
a fair
that,
point.
You know.
Yeah, it's the only part of the design right now that I don't like, if you've got a big car parked there for hours. I think it does detract a little bit of the beauty, but if it's for that purpose, I think it makes sense. A couple other just more nitpicky things for me. One of the reasons I'm gonna vote for the project as presented is I haven't heard anything from anyone, up or down. I mean, we've been talking about this for, at least a good solid 2.5 years, and I've not heard anyone call me and say, don't you dare put bathrooms in there, or don't you dare put more pavement in there. So to me, then I've got to use a little bit more of my own judgment and what I've talked to people about since we've started talking about it. To Ellis's point about the plantings, I hope that we're making wise decisions when we get to the plantings so we don't have, a $50,000 a year garden fee on our parks budget to replace, annuals or something. And that we're making wise decisions there. The only thing I have any real concern about then moving forward based on what I've discussed is what the bathroom's gonna look like. I know we've got a little bit more money in there. I think just trying to stain that concrete is not gonna look good. And I'm wondering if there's something else you can do with like a faux brick or something around the outside that would make it look nicer.
So the restrooms themselves are all cast in concrete.
Right,
They
so
come
it's gonna look like
one
gray
big
concrete
piece.
walls,
So,
right?
You can spend the money to do that and then build up brick all the way around it and take on that additional expense. The one thing that was nice about this is that it'll use a form liner. It's like when you look at our bridges.
Yeah.
So those are form liners, and when it's just a gray concrete, no, it doesn't look good. But once you can get them stained and make them look like stone and make them look like rock, they look nice and they last.
Okay.
So,
If you're comfortable with it, I know the one wall that everyone's gonna see is gonna be a donor wall that's gonna be lit up, so that will look nice. The other sides, with the doors and stuff, probably not a big deal. I just hope that there's a consistent look between the pavilions too, that the two pavilions, the bathroom, there's some consistency between the look and the color scheme. I think that's important. The only other question I had then, I did have one more, I'm sorry to be so long-winded, but we've got the front porch. And right now, I like having the front porch. I think it's a great idea. It's cool, another spot to hang out. But right now, it seems like there's zero use for it. There's no seating in it. Is there gonna be seating in it?
yeah, we'll have chairs.
Because the renderings you showed us it just was open.
Right, there's no chairs shown in that, but actually with this design, we enlarged the concrete pad area as you look at it. So we have this bigger area that we can have chairs set up around there.
Okay.
Similar to the Village Green, we might have some bolt-down ones. Not all that's been decided, but we will have something there.
Okay,
And we will
'cause-
have benches along the walkways also.
Because seating would be cool there. The only other, I keep thinking of things. We got this building now. This sounds kind of wacky, but can we throw a Wi-Fi router out there? We have city Wi-Fi, don't we? Can we get a Wi-Fi router out there if people wanted to go and hang out?
I don't have an answer
work?
to that, but we could check into that.
It'd be
I
a cool
just saw a
spot.
couple people in the audience say marvelous. I can't believe I read their lips. I never thought of that.
It'd be a
I
cool
like the
spot to go
idea,
and
but-
sit and work, if you've got the
No,
seating in the front porch.
it's a very good comment. We'll check with our IT and see what's possible.
Yeah.
You got that, Eric?
Matt,
Okay.
Matt, you could check one out the library and take it down there.
Yeah, that's true, that is true. But I hear there's only 5 and they're always in use, so.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
A couple comments and practical things. With the front porch, the visual of it shows that railing, and I'm thinking in my mind, if you're sitting in there, now you're saying there's going to be chairs in there, and you're sitting in there, you're going to be looking right at that railing, and it's going to be blocking views.
Yeah, there weren't,
I
at
mean-
least in the initial renditions, there aren't
There
on
aren't
the
going to
east
be?
and the west side. Those railings are
Oh,
gone.
excellent.
But how a person can enjoy that spot, still, there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah, not this, one.
And
Yeah, the bigger
so-
one,
yeah.
yeah, that
So the
one.
railings, we're not
Okay.
showing them here, they're just on the ends.
Okay. All right, my other comment is as far as the heating.
And maybe you take them off, I don't know.
As far as the bathrooms being heated in the winter, do we want to also consider, there are a lot of ice fishermen on that lake. do we want to consider potentially the fact that they would be in use of those heated bathrooms in the
So,
winter? And
if-
ice skaters
Yeah,
and snowmobilers.
if we put in heaters, it's not going to get us through the cold January, February.
Okay.
That we know for sure. It buys you some extra time. So once again, we'll check with communities that have opted to do that to see if it was a value to them.
And then my other comment was the comment based on what the Harrow's wishes were for their donation. But I think we can safely say that section of the park that the money was donated for from the Harrows is extremely consistent in what the Harrows were wanting. I appreciate their donation, I appreciate everybody's donations, but I think we've done a really nice job of sort of isolating that section of the park to be more passive and just, the way it is versus the other side that's a little more active.
And just so everybody understands, kind of where this wall ends, that's where it ends now, and that's the parcel that the Heroes purchased and donated. So when you extend that line back, the restrooms are outside of that, and the part that's on the part that they donated is the shade garden. It's open area, it's some walkways, it's the canoe and kayak launch. So we feel that we have maintained what was their desires for that. Now, their desires of, that there's other things in the other part of the park, we still want a functioning park for the city, but on the parcel that they've donated to the city, we have honored that.
Well, I mean, again, we can't please everybody and every donor. We're thankful and appreciative for everything, but in the end, this is a park for everybody, and I think everybody can be happy and thrilled with this.
Any other comments or questions? Alderman Rozak.
Real briefly, maybe it's not in this one, but is there, maybe it's in the other drawing. Where are you going to walk your kayak? Because in one of your earlier drawings, there was going to be like a kind of a path from the landing to the new one. Are you going to make people walk around this whole circle? Because I see this, you're going to.
It's around.
Oh, is that going to loop around?
Yeah.
I think it already does.
So, but people aren't going to do that.
They're going to walk.
They're going to walk right through the middle of the grass. So I think as we finalize some of those plans, you're going to have to think about what we do kind of down the middle. Because when we were going to do it with the kids, there was no way we were going to drag it all the way around along the edge.
So in the original drawings, we did have something down through there. We were talking about reusing some of the limestone that was on site and building steps and doing things like that. I think parks and schools follow the same logic of how you decide where you put the sidewalks. You wait a year and you put the sidewalks where the mud path is.
Well, that's fair. I mean, we should be thinking about it because you see the spots where people walk in like supermarkets and stuff through mulch areas eventually. I just think we need to be cognizant of that at some point we may need to put a small walking path somewhere through the middle of that green space.
And it could just be a stone path too,
It
or
could be
crushed
stone.
gravel,
Yeah.
something simple.
Yeah. Okay.
Good point.
Cool.
Any other comments? Like to entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Please call roll.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Nay.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. We'll work on to our next item. Great discussion. Consider act on Resolution 24-R3211 awarding design engineering service contract for the Village Green restrooms and park redesign project. Mr. Herzog.
I'm glad that we have all these projects. They're exciting, but I'm also glad that we named them differently. We've got the Oz
my
Plaza,
gosh, I
we've
know.
got the Splash Pad, we've got the Rockwell Park, and now we have the Green. So if you want to reference anything, I know what you're talking about, and,
Are you thinking of that big green wall in baseball?
well, of course. So yeah, just to step back in the process here, as we discussed in committee, this is the Village Green project. We've talked and met on this on numerous times throughout the community. Last time we were here, we got to discuss some of the conceptual ideas that helped us generate a lot of conversation, a lot of discussion. We hosted multiple meetings with, interested groups in this direct site. We met with the Downtown Association, the German Christmas Market, business owners, all individually, got some of their concepts, got some of their ideas and their concerns. We continue to show and demonstrate some of those exact things that you saw here with those groups, as well as we met with the public. We had 2 public information meetings at the community center this early summer and gathered a lot of good conversation and details with them. What we ended up doing in collecting a lot of those thoughts, we also had an online survey. It was more or less a questionnaire that we posted on our website. We advertised it throughout the community, social media, and on our city website that allowed the community to kind of send in feedback to our staff, which was very beneficial in just listening and understanding some of the key components to a project like this. When we're starting a job like this, we're really looking at, some real fundamental things. How's it gonna be used? And some of the bigger pieces like the parking lot, the boardwalk, parking, all those things want to be considered kind of upfront, and it helps develop the scope so that we can narrow it down enough so that we can advertise this to engineers and architects. So all the details that you guys kind of were looking at from the park, we haven't got to yet. But the idea here is to be able to get an engineer on board, architect, help us with those types of things. So as we gathered all those information, we put it in a RFP and sent it out to some 20 engineers and architects throughout the area. Got a lot of interest, a lot of feedback. We received 5 bids back from some of the local firms, and we reviewed that against a lot of typical things that all of our RFPs are interested in, and you kind of tailor some of your thoughts with the project that you know are going to be key pieces. We're looking for experience. We're looking for similar projects. We're looking for staff, team members, and those types of components that build a project so that we can have a good confidence level in recommending and working with these engineers. So through the process that was advertised out, we got 5 bids back. 3 of them were reviewed against the entire package, which included the cost. And MSA Engineering is what the staff is recommending. They presented a very strong proposal and ideas for a project. They had a lot of similar projects in the past of which their group and their team have been part of in this state region. So I felt very good. And also they are our designer and construction management team for the boat launch. So we went through over a year of working back and forth with their team. They have a lot of similar people, staff, that they're devoting to this project. We'd like to recommend this and award the project as presented here so that we can start the process and getting them engaged and to ultimately get a project out so that we can have a construction, in the next 12 months here. So the idea right now, looking at this, is to get the engineer on board. We want to bring them in, discuss it with the staff, team members, build kind of a group, have communication and dialogue back and forth with them, and they can put their thinking caps on, get their creative minds, and start to build what we asked were like 2 good plans. Bring those back to this body and review that, discuss some of the things you guys are already talking about. So I know that we can ultimately kind of get one, good project to lay out. We will have another public information meeting that will demonstrate these ideas later this fall, early winter. Right after that, I'd like to, finalize that plan, get all those thoughts together, get our engineer, put out the bids, and we can have that out for advertisement, this winter, and try to put this project in kind of a schedule, whatever can be built in the winter, and we can discuss, phasing options, availability, opportunities on which we can do a project like this. So it's kind of the rough schedule. Hope that kind of gives you some insight there. But so right now what we're discussing is just the engineering services with MSA.
I'd like to open it for discussions. Alderman Rozak.
Jason, a couple things. In the committee meeting, you mentioned The general framework that they're working under is the bathrooms in the north part of the park, which is near what would have been the Rockwell building, with some type of entertainment pavilion connected to them, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the elimination of the parking lot there.
Correct.
Creation of some type of wider sidewalk area behind there to use for staging vehicles during events or bathrooms. And then bump out parking along, is that Main Street there? I think that's Main Street on that side, with like 4 or 5 more stalls along the side of the street, correct? The
Maybe
general look, and then bollards and, some of the other things, expanded boardwalk. Okay. Well, one of the things I'd like us to do is some of the stuff we do in the city, it gets again, this is my aesthetic. I made a comment about some of the things in the other park aesthetically. I'd like to see us do something a little different downtown with that Village Green. At some point, we need to rename it to City Green or City Park or something too, because the Village Green I hate, but because we're not a village. But either way, it's kind of stuck. I'd like to look at this project and do something a little different, me personally, something maybe with a little bit more of a modern look, a little bit more of a different flair than everything else. For instance, at the City Beach, we have that public artwork down there that's kind of a more modern piece. I think the 5-0 piece in the roundabout's a little bit more of a modern look, lit up. I think that looks really cool. Those look really cool. Brings a little different flair. So I don't want it to just be another block building with brick look and look like everything else downtown. I think if we're going to do something down there, I kind of would like it to look a little bit more iconic and something a little different. I know we've got the boardwalk. We have to continue that look. But that's just my general thought as you work with these guys. I mean, I don't want to see just a block bathroom again, with like an ugly little stage in the middle. Let's try to do something that's cool there if we're going to do it, that's got a little different look, a little different feel for that area.
A wow
Yeah, and I'll
factor?
encourage
What's
all
that?
of,
A wow factor.
Yeah, something a little bit more of a wow
I'll
factor.
encourage all of you. I mean, as you're traveling, I mean, you probably all are already doing this. You're looking for ideas, you're looking for, hey, that was a great, I do that all the time. My wife is sick of it. So things like that, if
Yeah.
you see stuff,
Will do.
send them to me. People have sent me, there's a nice structure in Wauwatosa. They've done a very similar thing that has an entertainment pavilion, and it's almost got like a false wall on the back of the stage, and then restrooms right behind it, kind of gives that image. So it breaks up that. I've seen stuff on the side, I've seen them separated. So there's great structures out there if you're in communities or in areas, for sure, send those my way. We're definitely looking for ideas, and, this is kind of some of the things I want to present to the engineers, and, they're already kicking, they're turning over a lot of stuff that they got internally on a lot of projects in their other departments, so
In the
for
same
statements
fashion,
just like that.
Yeah, if you see some things you want council to look at that's local, like you just mentioned, Wauwatosa,
Yep.
please let us know, because we can always buzz over and look at it too.
Yeah, thanks.
That would help us as well to help you. Great comments. Alderman Altman Cloth.
So I agree with Rozak on, some sort of kind of like wow factor and not just doing a brick square that looks institutionalized. But also kind of just keep in mind that we also don't want to go too modern, that, 10, 15 years we look at it and go, wow, this is an eyesore. And then also we want something that complements our city, like complements some of the other buildings around it, complements just the historical feel that, our community brings. So just kind of, if there's a way to kind of balance that between something wow, but yet still something that fits in and something that's going to that's going to grow with us. And then I just totally lost my train of thought, so I'm good.
That's a good
I
one.
can come back to you. Any
I
other
know.
comments? I can come back.
Yeah.
Any other comments from anyone else? No, this is a big starting point, so thank you for all your hard work and the staff.
I remember
Yes,
I was just going to say, going back, we were talking about bathrooms at Rockwell Park, then we were talking about bathrooms here. And I think, when you look at how our city is used, especially on the weekends, even day to day, this is a spot where there's a lot more traffic. Would these be bathrooms that would be opened year-round?
That's our intent right now.
Okay,
Yes.
because that's the one thing I would really hope for, because I know, I think when Mr. Fry was up, he had said, we don't really need them as much in the winter, and I kind of disagree with that because I think we're a pretty active community year-round. So to have a spot like Village Green, that they are open year-round and are accessible would be really important.
Yep.
That's the plan.
No, it's going to be the Village Green forever, and we all,
I'm just gonna keep
I mean,
saying it
that would
another
be
way.
like you trying to rename one of your children, like, child, I don't like your name
Call it,
anymore. It's- you
Rosex
just can't do it.
Corner, or?
It will always be Village Green. Let's take a vote on that right now.
Okay. Any other comments or
Change it before
questions?
we put a
Alderman
sign.
Maroney.
Jason, so based on, when we had the public, the community center and what we talked about as the council, we're pretty much set as far as the bathrooms and the stage on the north end. We have a consensus with that. Is that
What the
correct?
details are, I'm not sure, what they're gonna look like. Are they gonna be attached? Are they gonna be separated? Haven't got to that level yet, but right now, what we've asked and what we've heard from this group, the community, is that, they really like the idea of having an entertainment center and bathrooms up on that north end. And kind of shifting some of the parking onto the road.
Sure, yeah, I
Kind
mean,
of
just,
takes advantage of, your daily parking, plus it provides some safety when we do have our events to host food trucks, those types of things that we're right now challenged with our traffic as it kind of stretches it right into the side of the road.
sure, so we have an outline to go forward at least with, somewhat.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it would be shifting from the parking lot onto Main Street.
Like to entertain a motion?
Rosick, so moved.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Under Utilities, consider act on the authorization to submit a simplified water rate case adjustment to the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin. Ms. Sullivan Murray.
Thank you. So all municipal water rates are calculated and set by the PSC. Our last water rate increase was in September of 2021. And when we did that rate increase, actually it was set to be a two-step rate increase. So the first step was in September of 2021, with the second step coming online when the new well number 8 comes online. So that was supposed to happen in 2023, but it's been a bit delayed, and it looks like it'll be online probably in 25 or early 26. So in the meantime, what we are looking to do, because the water utility has expanded some of its capital projects, that well is more expensive than it was a few years ago. We've expanded our water main inside of the street projects. We have a lead lateral replacement program, and we have our 20-year meter replacement coming up. So rates are based on the costs of the water utility and its ability to keep up its infrastructure. So we are looking at an increase in 2026 or 27 whenever we put that full rate increase in. And we don't know exactly how much it's going to be, but it's going to be a larger increase, similar to the one that we saw in 2021. So to help mitigate that and to help the utility with the inflationary cost increases, we are asking permission to apply to the PSC for their simplified rate application process. And that is a inflationary adjustment that is allowed by the PSC by application. The amount is set by the PSC annually. So this year it's 4.1%. And basically what it does is it helps minimize that future increase. We are going to have that increase. What our hope is to have a simplified rate increase this year and possibly next year to help us step into that increase that'll come once the well is completed. The approval process on this, it's a faster process. Tonight, the Utility Committee approved and sent to council for approval the submittal of this application. So if this is approved tonight, we will prepare the newspaper notice so that it goes into the newspaper next week. Once it has been noticed, the application can be filed with this PSC. And then, just as an extra notice, this part's not required, but as an extra notice to people, we'll also put a notice in the August utility bills so people understand what's coming. And we're anticipating approval about the middle of September with an effective date of October 1st. So what is 4.1% on a average water bill? So for the average person in the community using water, that changes about $1.45 monthly on their monthly water bill, or about $17.40 for the year. So one thing that we'd like to show here is, Oconomowoc really does keep their water rates as low as possible. And when we take a look at other water utilities that are in comparable size to us or in our area, you can see that Oconomowoc is in the lower end of the, halfway mark. We're just below that. And even with the new rate, we stay in that area. And as we move forward in the years, these other utilities are going to be having increases as well. So we maintain that we can keep our rates right about in the middle of the pack. So this is a necessary rate increase to basically inflationary costs for the utility, and also, as I said, to help step us into that larger increase that's coming in a couple of years.
Questions, comments from council? Alderman Shellpepper.
Yeah, just more of a comment. I mean, it seems like the rate increase is necessary. The well 8, my understanding is that well number 2 is going offline
That's
because
correct.
it's existed since 1912, so.
Yeah, that well's been there since, Scott said, 1911.
Or 1911.
And it's just
yeah.
not to the code that we have now.
Right.
It's close to gas stations. If we ever have any testing there that doesn't meet the DNR standards, basically, they're going to make us close the well.
Right.
So we worked ahead, found a well location, have the pumping done, have the testing done, so that we have a location that's ready to go. So basically, we're stepping into that too, and trying to make sure that that well is up, running, viable, and ready before we have to close well number 2.
So there's that piece. There's the street improvement program, which is always just like a key function, I think, of any municipality is, providing for good roads. And the reason that we're, having to replace these water lines is because we're replacing more roads, right? I mean, that's another
Yes,
piece of
and
this.
the water lines underneath the streets are
Right.
old and need to be
Right.
replaced, so that's the right time
And if we
to do
didn't
it.
replace them now, then we're re-ripping up roads that are, new, so it makes no sense. So, and I've totally been in support of, reinvigorating our road system and putting money into that, so, I support that. And then the lead lateral replacement program, that's, are we talking both public and private sides for those lead laterals, or are we only talking with the private side? Was that with the loan program, or?
The loan program was for the private side.
Right.
The utility pays for the
Public side, and that's what this other rate increases we're
It will
saying
be
is for.
included
Right.
in the rate
And so we want to
increase,
get rid of lead in the community as much as possible, and so that's another health quality thing. So while at the end of the day, we're paying $17.40 more a year right now, it's, these are necessary things, so I support the increase.
Like to entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Mulder?
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper?
Aye.
Alderman Maroney?
Aye.
Alderman Douglas?
Aye.
Alderman Rozak?
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Cloth?
Aye.
Alderman Ellis?
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg?
Aye.
On to new business, consider act on a temporary use permit for a firework display at the Dockhound Stadium, 1011 Blue Ribbon Circle North. Mr. Gallo.
Oh, shoot.
I didn't hear that, Jason.
It went boom. From current slide, there we go. All right, we have a
We've all been
request
there.
that you're being asked on for a temporary use permit. Typically, you guys don't act on temporary use permits. Typically, I'm the one that administratively approves these. But I'm going to tell you why you're doing that. This is for a fireworks display. It would be held on August 30th of this summer, one-time display. Applicants are here in the audience to answer any questions. Oh, but the display, I'm sorry. There we go. It would be held at Doc Hound Stadium, which is located at 1011 Blue Ribbon Circle North. So back in 2020, when the original conditional use permit for all the outdoor entertainment uses was being approved by this body, there was a condition, number 23 in the conditional use permit, that says fireworks are prohibited on the property unless the applicant obtains a temporary use permit approved by the city council. Any use of the fireworks shall also be reviewed and approved by Western Lakes Fire District prior to setting off. So they did apply. They applied last year as well, and that was not acted on, but they did apply recently, and they paid their fee of $100. They state right on here the date of the fireworks would be August 30th, no longer than 10 minutes. Shell size is 2 inches or less, so they made their complete application, which you have. Last year, when they applied, they requested 3 different dates, and when they came in, there was some discussion by the adjacent property owner of Ace Precision that said that he was concerned because of the roof was made out of a rubber membrane, and there was also an oxygen tank. So the applicants went back and took that to heart, and they've moved the location further to the east. So it'd be right about, I took the liberties of putting the red dot. Is that about accurate? That's probably the farthest left it would be, yeah. Okay. Okay, you're not on a mic right now, so, okay. If we need to explain that further, you can come up then. So this would be the location. You're all familiar with the Dock Hounds. This is I-94 to the north, and then the off-ramp here. They did move it. There's a sweet spot, I'll call it, in the middle here between the off-ramp and Ace Precision. So they did include a bunch of safety precaution stuff. I kind of gave you a little bit of everything. This is so the things don't tilt over before they're shot off, and this is a fire, you know, in case there is a problem down there, they'll have that. Fire extinguishers, the cake panels will be supported. They have liability insurance, and then they submitted all their safety precautions. So they did a test run for about 1 minute. Some of you were there with me. In the evening hours, I'll just kind of play this here. This would be the right location of right where they're doing it. Gives you an idea of the total height and the type of fireworks display. They would not be anything larger than that. So I drafted a permit, and there would be some conditions, as I do on every temporary use permit. We talk about we received materials on June 27th. Everything would have to be in accordance with those. The event would last no more than 10 minutes. The type of fireworks would be a mortar size not to exceed the 2 inches. These are more not real high grade fireworks. And if you have questions about the mortar size, I know that there's an expert here with us. Some of the other conditions would be weather conditions. This could be called off at any time due to wind or anything else. Wind direction, rain, or dry conditions could be taken under consideration by the fire chief. The neighbors shall be notified at least 1 week in advance, and complaints and site cleanup, insurance, event changes, and those would be the conditions. So I recommend that we do allow the temporary use permit for August 30th 2024, the motion would be to approve the temporary use permit for the Lake Country Dock Hounds.
I'd like to open up for discussions for Mr. Gallo, or we also have the applicants here. Any comments or questions from the council members? Karen? Alderman Spiegelberg.
Jason and myself and Captain Tim were able to be there to see it in person, and there was a representative from Ace Precision also that was strategically placed, and I was very impressed. I was very impressed with everything they did, everything they say they will do. The height is nothing compared to, you know, what we've got at Fowler on the 4th of July celebration, and I'm in support of going forward with this one event that they're asking for.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
So one of the questions I asked when you guys were here last, which I see in the memo, it does say that Aurora Hospital was notified. What was their response? Yeah.
So yeah, I'm Matt Sokol, the owner of Sokol Exclusive Events. I did provide Jason with, so we passed out a brochure the night of that had the direct response. So there was a public safety officer with Aurora that we spoke with him, and he just asked us to notify him about 15 minutes before the event started, the procedure that we would, again, repeat.
Yeah.
And then we also notified Flight for Life, and I believe it was Pilot Shad that we spoke with, which we also kept in contact with him regarding flight path of it. And he obviously said, you know, in the event, you know, we would repeat. We gave about a week and a half notice to all the neighbors, and we went as far as Brinkman on the same side, and then up to Chili's on across the freeway. So we'll do that again as well. And Chad just mentioned that as long as they know about it, obviously they'll just divert around it in the event that something comes up during that.
Thank you for reaching out to them.
Yep.
Alderman Rozak.
So I did watch the test run, but from my subdivision to see what effect it would have on the folks out there. And because I think the height seems different than the last one, I mean, I couldn't see them at all, and I could barely hear them. So kudos to you and Dock Hounds for this time. I think doing it right and, you know, checking the boxes that we want to check so that, you know, the ACE guy and the hospital and those things that were some of our big concerns last time. That doesn't mean I'm going to approve 3 or 4 of these things next year, but I think this time you guys went through a better process to make sure that the neighbors and folks were aware of what was going on and address those concerns. So I appreciate that.
No, thank you. And honestly, there was, of the, you know, 30 or so neighbors I dropped the flyer at, 10 of them were honestly in person, and every single one thanked us for just letting us know.
Letting them know,
The
yeah.
hotel was like, hey, we got dogs here, so they just appreciated it, so
Huge.
we appreciate it.
Yeah, nice work.
Thanks.
Really
Any
nicely
other
done.
questions or comments for applicant or for Mr. Gallo? I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussions or comments? Alderman Ellis.
Yeah, my concern still is the traffic. At any one point in time, somebody could be driving, and then all of a sudden, those fireworks go off, and now they're no longer focused on the traffic. They're looking at these fireworks, and then somebody in front of them stops, and then we got a problem. I know it's probably going to happen 1 out of every 1,000 times, but that concerns me. Also, the wind. 1 minute it's going to the east, the next minute it's going to the west, and wait, we didn't expect that, and now we've got a problem there. So that's my problem. Can somebody address that, please?
Yeah, so the wind first, so everything that the distances that we provide and that are in the safety regulations are regulated up to 15 mile per hour. So, and basically, you know, the kind of rule of thumb is like a, you know, kind of like a 1-3-5. So you're checking it 5 hours before, 3 hours before, 1 hour before, and then obviously, you know, around a half hour before. So any type of wind adjustments or anything like that, we would obviously, you know, we're well aware of, you know, what we are regulated to do and not regulated to do. So hopefully, you know, those decisions can be made earlier rather than later. But, you know, this is also our business, so it's not something like we're gonna do it just to do it. You know, we have liability as well as safety concerns with, you know, keeping our licenses. and keeping, you know, ATF license that we have and, you know, the shooter's permit that we have and all that stuff. So we would make the right decision. And obviously, you know, we told the fire and police that any concerns that they have, they just have to let us know. As far as the traffic did, so not this shoot per se, but the one previously last year, we did have fire and police pretty much at all the roads. So they could probably speak on that a little bit better. I don't want to bring up what they did, but we did have them observe the traffic from that shoot last year. So I don't know if they want to.
Chief Pfister.
Yeah, we reviewed it last year, and on the interstate, you couldn't even see the fireworks at all based on the height with the trees that were out there. The off-ramp, very difficult to see because the direction of the off-ramp coming, you don't look, people aren't looking behind them, you know, in that direction. So really, and even the height of these on 67, I don't think is a major attraction height-wise, you know, and so forth. So I'm not too concerned about that. Obviously, anything can happen at any time. As far as winds and that, we do monitor that in our police department, and I know that on that occasion, the fire department would be monitoring it. So, you know, we would be looking at, you know, wind speeds that are coming towards us, you know, and so forth like that, as a predictor of that type of.
Alderman Ellis?
I appreciate all that, and once again, you know, what comes to mind to me is now we're adding more work to our individuals here, that we don't have enough people as it is. We're not manned, we don't have enough police officers. You're asking for another police officer. And now we're gonna go ahead and we have to have somebody monitor this, and we're gonna have the fire department there, but maybe they're called out on something. So I don't mean to be a devil's advocate, but to me, it just seems like, I don't know, this could be like an overkill.
Well, this is gonna take up, I'm not having an officer there. Okay, this will be done through our police support specialists inside who have that information. Obviously, the sergeant on duty or the officer in charge that's on duty will be aware of it along with all the officers and monitoring that. But we're not gonna be on site for this. There's no reason for us to be on site for it.
So you're not going to be on site, fire is not going to be on
I
site?
did not say fire was not.
Okay,
I don't speak for the fire department.
I understand.
So my guess would be they would have a representative there. But they have more manpower than I do.
We have a motion and a second. I do have one question for you, Jason. And I may have missed this in the application. Do they have a backup rain date? Because they could have a bad day.
A backup rain date, son?
Well, I mean, you're going through this process. When we do the fireworks here in the city, usually the next day is the backup rain date. I don't even know if there's a game the next day, but I don't know if that's part of a request or not, or it's a one and done.
Sonny Bando with the Dock Hounds, and a recently citizen of Oconomowoc, so.
Hey, yeah.
You know, it's just.
You must be doing good out there.
Huh?
You must be doing well.
We have, I think, 2 or 3 games after this game. I was gonna ask what happens if we got rained out or if we had to cancel, if we were in fact able to do it the next day. I don't know if that's something I need to ask formally for, or if we just work together if it's a rain out, or.
Yeah, I just thought of it.
Yeah.
And we do have a motion and a second.
Well, I thought there was language in there that said you would just submit a new date, work with staff on a new date. Thought that was language in there.
I might have missed it. That's why I brought it
Under
up.
1.
It's under 1?
Under 9, it says event changes need to be approved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless a makeup date is assigned due to any cancellations, so.
Is it going to be approved by the council or by the staff?
The staff.
Yeah.
Okay, does it say that? Okay. Then it's addressed. What I don't want to do is have you wait 2 weeks and then your season's over to actually come back to the council. And I apologize, I missed that on the, good job. Okay,
So
great, thank you.
could you go back up to 1? Could you scroll back up? I don't have it right in front of me. Because there it does say, unless a makeup date is assigned due to cancellations. Well, you may, technically, you may not make up that date, you have a game the next day, that's not the makeup date, it's just the next day. So to be in compliance, maybe we just make an amendment to that says, you know, if, unless or at a later date assigned or in agreement with the city due to cancellation or something
With city
like that.
staff or something.
City
City
staff,
st- yeah.
right. Provide that out.
So the easiest way to do is to withdraw the motion and the second and restate the motion.
Why don't you, I made the first, why don't you restate the motion based on what you were saying?
So do you withdraw
I'll
your
rescind
motion?
and
Okay.
withdraw my motion, yes.
Okay. Alderman Mulder, would you like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion with the amending the first point to say, said event shall take place after the game on August 30th unless there is a cancellation. A new date can be determined with city staff at that time.
Give a second.
I'll second that.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rozak.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Nay.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Great, thank you. And thank you for all your hard work and diligence. We appreciate it. On to staff reports, the 2023 Citizens Annual Report. Ms. Sullivan Murray.
Oh, sure.
To help.
So annually, after the audit and all our financial statements are completed, Finance Department prepares the Citizens Annual Financial Report. And you can find it on our city website, right there on the front page, and click on it there. And so what this report does is it puts our financial statements in more of a narrative and graphical format that's easier to understand. And so when you take a look at it, like the table of contents, it's like, who are we? Where does our money come from? Where does our money go? What do we have or own, and what do we owe? So it puts it in, more simple budget terms, gives you some graphic representation, and gives you a lot of good financial information about the city. And we do prepare these annually. We used to print them and put them in the library, but they're all online now, and we also submit this to the Government Finance Officers Association, and hopefully get an award for it as well. So a lot of thanks to Hannah Brosh in the Finance Department, who really spearheads putting this together.
Well, and a
So,
kudo,
thanks.
Lori, to you and your department.
Thanks.
I've had several mayors that have actually referenced this on things that they want to do. So this is something I've gotten positive feedback unsolicited. So really well done, and thank you for doing that for us.
Yep. Okay, check it out on the website. Thanks.
Great, thanks. Next up is update on the Old Highlander, Oconomowoc Parkway, and building status. Mr. Fry.
So when we were going through with the Old Highlander development, there was a lot of language that we contained in the document regarding the potential to obtain the lands that we needed for the Oconomowoc Parkway. And the developer was responsible to work with the golf course to work out a deal to make that possible. In the document, there were some lands that could be converted to 3 holes for the golf course that the developer had valued at $800,000. And the city had given them a check for $400,000 up front for that. And that was part of the agreement, that if in 9 months they weren't able to complete a deal, that the city would be able to keep the land and not have to pay anything extra. Well, problem with that is it doesn't accomplish obtaining the land for the Oconomowoc Parkway. So the 9 months ended on April 27th. And the developer has been working with the golf course. They've been working all along. I think it sounds like a lot of times they get close and then somebody wants something a little extra or something like that, but they're still working together. And I'd like to give them the chance to work through this year and try and complete that. Because if we jump in afterwards, it's starting back over. It's just a lot of work that they've already put in place. So my thought was that we'd give them to the end of the year, but we did have an agreement with them. And if anybody on the council feels differently and you would like to have this brought back as a council agenda item, I will be more than happy to do that. If not, then we would let them work through the end of the year to see what they can accomplish on that item. The other item, just as I was going through there was also wording in there regarding the building that's up out there. They have 3 years before that has to come down. So we're only about a year into this agreement, so they have 2 more years on that. I just wanted to just give that update. So once again, if anybody feels strongly on that land and the wording that we had in the original document, we can bring that back as a council agenda item.
And the landowner on that property is working hard to try to create something pretty special for the ski hill in that area. So there are a lot of discussions going on. So it's not just sitting there with nothing happening. But we thought it was important to bring it to council so you're up to speed. And then if we need to make any directions, please let Mark know after council. Do we have any reports or comments from Alderman? Alderman Ellis.
Yes, we had a passing of an individual that I want to bring to everybody's attention. Jim O'Connor. He's known as Jim. Died on July 12th, 2024 at home following a courageous battle with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. Jim's life revolved around cars, which started at a very young age when he would help his dad's car dealership. And after many, many years of working in Lamira, in 2013, he opened up Jim O'Connor's Select Auto in Oconomowoc. I can honestly say that every car that I've purchased came from Jim. I never thought that I was oversold. I never thought that I was undersold. I always felt good at the end of the sale. Jim was honored to be elected as the first used car dealer and chairman of Wisconsin Auto and Truck Dealers Association in 1999. He was appointed by the Department of Transportation for the Right Way Award in 1997. More recently, Select Auto was given the Oconomowoc Small Business of the Year Award in 2021. He received a very personal honor in 2023 when the City Council of Oconomowoc officially designated St. Patrick's Day 2023 as Jim O'Connor Day. I guess the one thing that I do want to say, I've known Jim and I'm honored to have been his personal trainer for the many years that I had been here. He was absolutely known as an extremely generous, selfless, non-judgmental, and open-minded person. I have never met a man that gave of himself more so than I really felt he should have. I could tell you stories of things that he did for me at Parker's Place, and I didn't know it was going to happen. Like I said, this guy is going to be missed. The visitation and funeral services will be held at Peganoff Funeral on July 27th. The visitation is 1:30 to 4:30, and the service will be immediately following that. I know I'm going to be there. I can't say enough about this guy. I just can't. I remember the first day I met him, he was probably the most transparent individual I've ever met in my life. He said so many things. As a matter of fact, it was his pushing that got me in this seat right here. He said, "You need to put your name in the hat." And I said, "Well, I don't know." He said, "No, you didn't hear me. I said, you need to put your name in the hat." And I did that. He's going to be missed. We miss you, Jim.
Alderman Mulder.
So last meeting, we voted to work on the paving on McDowell Court, and it's been bothering me since then, so give me a couple minutes. $300,000 is what we're paying in taxpayer money to do that project, and I know some of that's coming out of utility. It's still tax dollars that were collected. And that could replace 200 private side lead laterals. That would fund 30 years of the swim lessons that we cut 2 years ago. It would pay for 12 of the library analysis that we wanted to do. It would pay for a half mile of resurfacing a road. But what it's going to pay for is 8 people who let their property deteriorate to the point that they couldn't afford to do it anymore. One of whom has already put their home up for sale, because the benefit they're going to have of having that big cistern out front removed and a new driveway, which is what it is, put in. You guys voted, it says I'm not here to scold you, but I think we need to really, that's a lot of money for people who just let their own property deteriorate. And it's, the reason it has been since 1898 or whatever it was is because every other council realized that it's their property and not the city's responsibility to take care of someone's property. It's not precedent setting, but it's certainly, people can certainly question why those 8 people deserve $37,000 worth of value for their properties, not to mention the increase in the value of their property because now they have a nice new driveway. It surprised me, and I think we need to, as we go into budget season, that would pay for 2 years plus of the new lieutenant we want. It would pay for a plow truck that's on the 2027. There are so many priorities. It just strikes me that we need to be a little bit more judicious about it. I'm sure I've made votes that have, all of you have scratched your head when you went home, you laid in bed saying, what the hell was Matt thinking about? This is my one for 7 of you, I guess, so.
Any other comments from Alderman? With no additional comments from the mayor, thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.